Okay. All right, this is a little odd. I've never done a video in this format or indeed in this location or in this apartment or with this setup. So this should be interesting. Welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, to this video. I want to, first of all, let me just say, I know it's been, how long has it been? Years? Not quite. I think it's been almost a year since I made my last video. I do apologize for that. No excuses though. I just haven't, I don't know why. I just haven't been in the mood or haven't been inspired necessarily to make a video. And also let me just say I'm a little bit congested. I'm right around an allergy season. And I don't get bad allergies, but I get congested from all the pollen in the air. So I do apologize for that. If you hear any sounds of congestion, I do apologize. I want to take this moment in time to discuss one of my favorite cameras that I've ever used. Also to explain to you my wish list for its successor. So the camera I'm of course talking about, maybe not of course, but the camera I'm talking about is this guy here. It's a 7D Mark II from Canon. It is the current flagship APS-C size sensor camera that Canon makes. And I shoot a lot of sports. I shoot a lot of indoor and outdoor sports during the day and at night. So this camera is probably the most used camera I've ever owned. I love, you know, the full frame look for portraits and things like that. I think that there is definitely a place in the world for full frame cameras. But this guy right here just is a workhorse, the 7D Mark II. Now, the 7D Mark III is rumored to be coming out anytime between tomorrow and next year. So the date of this video is, I'm recording it on February 19th, 2018. I've heard rumors it'll be coming out, it'll be announced in May. I've heard rumors it'll be announced in September. I've heard rumors that it won't be announced till next year. So many different things that I've heard. Probably they're all rooted somewhere in truth, but there's no confirmed announcement. Canon has not officially confirmed that this camera is even being developed or made. So at least not to my knowledge. Maybe they have, and I'm just behind on news. But this camera is the 7D Mark II. I want to talk about my wish list for the 7D Mark III. Now, I've written some stuff down on this paper here. I have sort of two separate wish lists for this, and this may be a little bit confusing, but I have like a true wish list that's not realistic in any way, that wouldn't affect whether or not I bought it. And then I have like an actual wish list, like I would buy this camera in a heartbeat if it meets every single one of these points. So I'm going to talk about the realistic, if it has it, I will buy it type wish list. And then I'm going to talk about the, you know, the crazy over the top stuff that Canon may put in it, but they may not. And it's sort of a moot point either way. So first things first, I really want an LPE6N battery, which is the same battery as the Mark II. It's the same battery as the camera I'm filming this on, which is a 5D Mark III. It's the same battery as the 5D Mark IV. It's just nice to have one set of batteries that just work across all your cameras. And if you shoot with sort of the 60D, 70D, 80D, they all use it. It's all the LPE6 or LPE6N batteries. I would love for that battery to still be, and given that it's the same battery in the 5D Mark IV, I have a feeling it will be, but that's a big thing. I do not want to have to buy a whole bunch of new batteries. Going off that for a little bit, I also kind of want it to have, people might not like this, I kind of want it to have a CF and an SD card slot. Maybe they'll go with 2 CF cards, which would be fine. I really do not want a C-Fast and an SD. I'm scared that that's what they're going to do. Especially if they put 4K in it. But we'll see. I'd be fine with a compact flash and an SD. I would be fine with a compact flash and a compact flash, or even I would be okay with a compact flash and a CFast. But I don't know enough about the internals of the camera, so when you open the door right here, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but when you open the door here, you can see there's a spot for a CF card, and then there's a spot for an SD card. I don't know if the internals would allow for dual CF, or like a CFast and a CF. So we'll see about what happens on that front. Either way, I'm gonna guess there will be either a compact flash or an SD. What the second one is, I don't know. There's a pretty good chance I think it'll still just be a compact flash and an SD, which is good with me because I own plenty of compact flash cards. I own plenty of SD cards. That works. The Mark II is actually really great in low light. Just the other night, I was shooting a softball game at night under lights, and the lights weren't that good. And I was shooting at ISO 4000 on this guy, and I'm perfectly happy with the photos. I think they look great. I have no problem with the sensor in this camera. I think that, as with most Canons, or all Canons, depending on who you talk to, the dynamic range could be better. I find myself, when I'm trying to expose someone, like, we'll just talk about the softball game the other night, as the sun was setting, you could see the shortstop's face. I'll put a picture up, actually, if you want to look at it. This picture here. It took me, I had to sort of expose knowing that I wanted you to be able to see her face. I think the dynamic range is fine for what I do. It may be lagging behind some of the competitors, but as you can see from the photo, it looks fine. It's good. It's good enough. Speaking of looking at photos, here are some photos of the 7D Mark II shot at ISO 4000. So you can kind of see it's not bad at all. It's really not that bad. So improved low light would be great. It'll probably have a new sensor, but even a small improvement is going to be just fine. Let's talk about frames per second, shall we? This one is, I think everyone sort of agrees it's going to be 12 frames per second. Now, it could still be 10. This is a 10 frames per second camera. If I'm not mistaken, the D500 from Nikon is 10 frames per second. The D5 from Nikon, which is a $6,500 camera, is 12 frames per second, or you can shoot 14 frames per second in mirror lockup, I think. And then I believe the 1DX Mark II from Canon, which is a $6,000 camera, is 14 frames per second or 16 with mirror lockup, I think. Canon, of course, will not put in 14 frames per second on the Mark III because that's competing with their top-of-the-line camera. My guess is they put in 12 frames per second so that they can have a $2,000-ish camera competing, in that category anyways, competing with a Nikon $6,500 camera. Now, the D5 is totally a different camera than the 7D Mark III is going to be, but there's a lot of people who just look at stats of cameras and just look at numbers, and they're going to see a comparison and think that that's equivalent. There's plenty of stuff in the Mark III. There's plenty of stuff that will be not in the Mark III that are in the D500. I mean the D5 and the 1DX Mark II. That's why they're $6,000+ cameras, and the Mark III is most likely going to be maybe 2,200, 2,000-ish. It's not going to be below 2,000 probably, but 12 frames per second, that's on my wish list. I would like a tilt screen. I would like a tilt screen a lot. However, I really like, there's a row of buttons right here. I like those. I've heard mixed reviews about the buttons on this side of the camera. I like the buttons over here. Whether or not they can figure out how to make a tilt screen, so it would basically articulate like this, right? If you look on the side, but it would not flip out. A lot of the Canon ones, the screens will flip out like this, but that requires getting rid of these buttons, which I don't really want them to do. So we'll see what they do with that. My guess is it's not going to have a tilt screen at all. They seem to be... Canon does not like putting tilt screens on their professional cameras, which, you know, I have a right angle finder, which allows you to look through the optical viewfinder at weird angles. That works pretty well, to be honest with you. And I only need it in a small set of circumstances, but it's nice to have. I actually care less about touchscreen. They'll probably put touchscreen on the Mark III. We'll see. That's sort of it. I mean, I like this camera a lot. I think it needs an upgrade in terms of if they could make it better in low light, that'd be awesome. And it would actually be able to compete as an indoor, like, gym sports camera. And I think right now, this camera's weakness is in the gym, indoor, and nighttime under bad lights environments. I don't really... You'll talk to a lot of photographers who talk about sharpness. I don't think sharpness is all that, as long as an image is sharp enough. There is an AA filter on the sensor, an anti-aliasing filter, which technically reduces sharpness. Does it reduce sharpness by all that much? In the real world, no. If you look at charts, yes. I could do without it. It's something that benefits video people and hurts photo people, more or less. It's the simplified way of putting it. I'm guessing that they're going to put an AA filter in it. We'll see. I don't care one way or another on that front, but, you know, something to think about. If you do a lot of video, it might benefit you. If you do a lot of photo, it might hurt you a little bit. It's something that they'll probably put in because that seems to be what Canon does. But they might leave it out, and you might get some crazy sharp images out of the 7D Mark III. Obviously, you'll have access to your EF and your EFS lenses, so if you have a collection of EFS lenses, it's still going to be a crop sensor. You're going to be good. Everything just, it's a good camera. The Mark II is a really good camera. So I guess what I'm saying is my wish list is a couple minor upgrades here and there, a little bit better low light maybe, if they can work that out. I'd like to see 12 frames per second shooting. You know, the tilt screen would be nice. Keep the same batteries and don't mess with the memory card area too much. Don't make me buy new things, essentially. Don't make me buy new batteries. Don't make me buy new cards. On the video side, now I do shoot video. I do not like to shoot video on DSLRs. I think it's cumbersome, and more or less, I consider this a photographic camera, not a video camera. But I love that I can if I need to. Or if I need a B or C camera, you can put great lenses on a great sensor. Well, you could argue the greatness of the sensor for certain applications. It's great for sports and action photos. But you can put a good lens on a good camera and you have some great video shots. However, it's probably going to have 4K, which is great. I don't shoot 4K almost ever. I think that we are going to still be in 1080p for a couple years, really, as the standard still. But the ability to future-proof the camera is going to be important, I think. So having 4K would be good, even if certain people like myself don't utilize it right away. Probably going to have a touch screen. These are things, by the way, that I don't really care about, but if they're in it, great, I'll take it. So touchscreen, 4K. I have a feeling it's going to be a similar camera body, similar button layout. You know, we've got the, this was sort of the camera. There's a button right here, or a lever, I guess you'd say, that helps change your focusing modes and systems. That's kind of cool, but they also put it on the 1DX Mark II, and they also put it on the 5D Mark IV, albeit in a slightly different configuration. So there's pretty much no doubt that this sort of lever, button, hat switch, and then this rotational dial, it's going to be there. It's just a matter of whether or not it's the newer design or if they go with something different. But this back section is probably going to be, this section right here is probably going to be identical to the Mark II. This section, if they do not put a tilt screen, it's going to be the same. This will probably be touch. Everything else is pretty much where it is. I mean, it's a, you know, it's a great camera, and I think that really Canon is probably not going to mess with it too much. Change out some internal stuff, change out some of the different, you know, video internals, maybe make it 4K, upgrade the menu system to their current iteration of it. And I don't think they're going to mess with it. I don't think they should mess with it, to be honest with you. And I'm one of those people who is all for innovation, okay? Put crazy features into a camera. Go for it. But wait until, you know, I'm okay with Canon doing things slowly. And people hate Canon for it. People hate that Canon is not, quote unquote, innovative right now. I would argue that a lot of professionals out in the field, when there's a new camera, they want to be able to pick it up and immediately work with it. They don't want to have to go through a whole new button layout, all these different features that they don't know how to work yet. And I think that Canon is, I think, here's my theory on Canon. I think that their target demographic is beginners and professionals, and no one in the middle. That's my theory for Canon, although they made a 6D Mark II, which is pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I know nothing about that camera. But the 7D Mark II is a camera that people use for professional sports and wildlife. Granted, most people will probably have this as a secondary camera to the 1DX Mark II or something of that ilk, but I don't know. I think that the best thing Canon can do is to upgrade it, make it better, but don't change it so much that we don't know it's a 7D, right? That's my wish for Canon when they come out with the 7D Mark III. And we'll see. It might be years before we get a 7D Mark III. Canon has a production cycle that I'm not all too familiar with as far as timing on when they release new products, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the 7D Mark III. I think it's going to be a great camera. It's going to be a nice upgrade to this. Oh, I didn't mention megapixels. I don't care. I give zero craps about megapixels. The current camera, I looked it up, I think it said is 20 point something megapixels. It'll probably be 24 megapixels, but it doesn't matter. You know, I'll take 12 frames per second I'll take 12 frames per second at 20 megapixels or 24 megapixels over 10 frames per second at 30 megapixels. Because 2 more frames per second is 2 more chances every second you have of getting that key moment. And if you don't have the key moment, you don't have a shot. You have 30 megapixels of worthlessness if you don't have that exact moment that you need. So anyways, that's my theories. So thanks for listening to me ramble on about a camera that doesn't even exist yet. If you have any predictions, theories, or comments about your about the 7D Mark III, if you have a wish list of things that you want to see in it, or if you just want to tell me how wrong or right you think I am, let me know in the comment section down below. And without further ado, Thank you very much for watching. Again, I do apologize for the extreme length of time between my previous video and this one. I do plan on making videos. This year is going to be an interesting year, and I'm excited to sort of share some of that with YouTube and you guys. So hopefully you'll be able to get something out of this. I'm going to do more videos like this where I'm just sort of chatting, sitting on a couch or in a chair, talking to you guys. I may bring, a little, point and shoot out with me when I'm doing pictures, get some video of that. We'll see where things go, but I want this channel to, I want to get back into this channel. I like making these types of videos. So if this is something you want to see, or if you have any ideas for me, let me know. I can't promise I'll make, if you leave a suggestion, I can't promise I'm going to make it for two reasons. One is I might just not want to, or I might not be able to. I want to be able to do a variety of videos on this channel, and I think that sometimes YouTubers are pigeonholed into doing one specific thing, which I don't want to happen. So I'm going to do a lot of photography videos because that's what I do. That's what I like to do. That's what I do for a living. That's what I do most of my life is take pictures. And for those of you who are not 100% sure on what types of pictures I do, you can go, I'll link my Instagram in the description. Most of my stuff is travel, photography, and sports. Those are the two things that I like to do. If I can convince a band to let me come to a concert and take pictures, I'll do music photography. But by and large, my work is travel and nature photography and sort of like, the countryside, landscapes, things like that, and sports. And I enjoy both tremendously. And that's why I want to share videos with you guys about the types of work that I do, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out a system of how to share that in an engaging and entertaining manner. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to stop rambling now and let you get back to your day. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. And I promise I won't be a year next time before the next video. All right, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.